Hi everyone and welcome to the Dramatic Knits podcast. My name is Steve and you can find me on Ravelry as Dramatic Knits and Instagram as Leading Men Fiber Arts. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back for one more episode, and if you're new, I hope you like what you see today and you'll come back in the future as well as check out past episodes. So it's been 2 weeks and I'm back with another finished object, and hopefully I can keep that momentum going. I hope your past 2 weeks have been fabulous and that you've been getting crafting done as well as enjoying the weather. Here in central Illinois, it has been rather rainy. It's cleared up the last few days and been nice, so that's been good. Nothing really exciting to talk about here. Just been working per normal and having the occasional craft nights at the studio, as well as a trunk show at Wool & Company up in South Elgin, Illinois. And so that was last weekend. We drove up very early on Saturday morning and set up super quick. And then we had a wonderful experience in their brand new location. They just opened the doors to their new location at the beginning of May. And they moved from a very small shop to a 6,000 square foot shop plus a warehouse in the back for all the internet business that they do. It is an absolutely beautiful store that will really set you up to be in the creative mood. So, and it did me as well. I did purchase some stuff while I was there. Unfortunately, I left them at the studio, which is fine because I did not buy all the yarn I needed. I thought I did, and so I ended up making a last minute internet purchase from their website yesterday, and it is shipped today. So next time I record, I will have all the yarn to show you in all its glory, but don't you worry because I have other stash enhancement to share with you today. So that's been our 2 weeks. Andy and my sister Amanda, who is our shop manager, our studio manager, they had a bit of a field trip this weekend. The Cows Retreat, which is Crankers of Wonderful Socks, was being held in Monticello, Illinois, where we hold our retreat, but theirs was at the Best Western Hotel. And they bring in about 50 people who are machine sock knitters, and they just crank in and they do a crank in, they take classes, they just whatever, hang out. So we did get our Dean & Beans 3D printed circular sock machine a couple of weeks ago, and I told Andy all of the circular sock machine stuff is in his hands, and so he was dragging his feet about getting it set up, which is totally understandable. But I told him with having a convention 30 minutes away from our house, he really needed to drop in. We had several people in from the store that had told us about this event and invited us, including one of the organizers. So, you know, it wasn't like we were completely just showing up out of the blue. So Amanda, Andy, and actually one of our other workers, Bobby, went, kind of experienced it in the morning on Thursday and got a little bit got the machine set up and a quick rundown. And they then went back and spent most of the day on Saturday learning and cranking the first tube on the machine. And we brought a little bit of sock yarn for the people there to peruse if they so chose. And I think he had a good time. So that's been our 2 weeks. Like I said, nothing exorbitantly entertaining, but it's kept us very busy. So let's get into what is taking a bow this episode. What did I finish? I finished Andy's red socks. These were knit using Lang Yarn's Jowl Action Color in number 0460. And I knit these on a size 1 US, which is a 2.25 millimeter needle. I do one sock at a time, and I use 2 circular needles for those of you that are wondering. And I actually had to do something I've never done before. So I knit the second sock about 3/4 of an inch too long. I don't know how. I count rows. I must have just forgot to count several rows. I don't know. But he tried on the second one, and his toe was ending before the toe decreases. Like, there was a lot of room. So I actually had to, I had already Kitchenered the toe and everything, so I just snipped the toe off and I unwound back to where I think I needed to start the toe decreases. And yeah, so they are not matchy-matchy as you can see, but they're slightly off. But he enjoys them and they fit much better now. So I did my typical top down. I do 10 rounds of 2x2 ribbing. Then I knit the leg for 70 rounds. I put in my waist yarn and I knit the foot for 80 rounds, and then I do a rounded toe. I pick up my stitches and I do 4 plain rounds before doing a second rounded toe for the heel. So that's my go-to socks. And these are for Andy. They still need to be washed and blocked and photos taken, but they are done. And so I was able to cast on my next oldest pair of sock yarn. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. So moving on to what's performing. First up, let me show you the progress that I made on my colorful linen stitch blanket by Helena Cat. I'm using various scraps of fingering and sport weight yarn held double with a size H or 8 hook. I'm crocheting this and I'm doing a marled effect on it. And if you can see here, my orange stitch marker, I've done that many rows. So this is kind of just the top portion, the most recent. And yeah, so it is probably about 4 feet tall right now. So it's getting there. Enjoying it. And a little bit goes a long way. Every stitch counts, right? All right, next up, I've made some good progress on my So Basic sweater by Maxim Cyr. I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Soliloquy in a one-of-a-kind color that Andy overdyed. And last time I had split for the sleeves, and so I was just going round and round in the body. I am probably 9 or 10 inches into the body now. And here's where we're at. So I have my sleeves on spare needles. That is truer to color. As you can see, I'm not washed out. But it's wanting to wash me out. There we go. That's the true color. Here's what it looks like now. And I'm pretty happy with it. So just working on it. I work on it at craft nights at the studio now, and I'm just going around and around and around and around and around. So, and that's being knit on size 3 and 4 US 3.25 and 3.5 millimeter needles. I am not alternating skeins on that. I am living life dangerously. Next up, I've made some decent progress too on my Tranquil Mist. This is by Cindy Garland, who is one of the owners of Stunning String Studio, and I'm using Stunning String Studio's Twinkle Base, which is their sparkle, in the Broken Hearts colorway. I am on the second of 2 skeins, and this is a beaded lace shawl, so I can't show you a whole lot yet. But the rows are pretty long. I've got maybe another 10 or 15 rows to go, and then it will be done, but it will block out. And that's where we're at. So you can see how scrunched up this is on a, that may be a 40-inch. But I'm just really enjoying the lace, so. And you can see there. It's hard to see without it being blocked, but you can see all the lace with my shirt behind it. So that's going, enjoying that, and that's being knit on a size 6 US 4 millimeter needle. And along with size 6 seed beads. And I bought that as a kit many years ago at the Zombie Knitpocalypse. Last up, I did cast on some new socks for me, since I finished some for Andy. And these are using Desert Vista Dye Works in the Dia de los Muertos colorway, which is a self-striping colorway. I picked this up, I believe, at the Super Summer Knit Together several years ago. And I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Darkest Hour Showstopper Mini Skein for the cuff, heels, and toes. And as you can see, I've got the cuff done and like 2 rounds into the body of the leg. Again, 2x2 ribbing, 10 rounds, and then I go into the leg. So again, size 1 US, 2.25 millimeter needle. So that's what's performing. So I thought I'd show you, since I'm almost done with the lace shawl, I thought I'd actually put something in the in rehearsal section, and I used my random number generator on all my stash. For those of you who do not know, I have a project aligned, I would say, with everything. Every skein in here, when I buy a skein of yarn, if I do not have a project in mind, I find one when I stash it so that I don't have to worry about what to make and have analysis paralysis. That being said, the first yarn I randomly selected was another skein of self-striping yarn. So instead of choosing the next oldest after these Dia de los Muertos socks, I will go on to these socks since they were randomly selected. And this is a new acquisition. This was from my Freckled Whimsy club. This is Yesteryear on her Serendipity base, which is a 75/25, and it comes with a 20-gram mini. So those will be going on the needles once the Dia de los Muertos socks are done. I then re-pulled, and the next thing it pulled for me is some really old stash, so it's good that I'm using it. I believe this was part of the Highland Handmaids Club I was in at some point. She is no longer dyeing, but this is Highland Handmaids. She used to be based out of Maine, and then I think she's moved. This is in her silver maple sock, which is 60% superwash merino, 30% bamboo, 10% nylon, 425 yards in the bean green colorway. And I had nothing lined up for this, I think because it was so old. So I did some searching, and I was going to try to pair it with some other skeins, but then I was going to have to pull the project ideas from other skeins. Anyway, I found a 1-skein shawl called Melodia by Janina Callio that was in my queue. So I'm going to use this. It uses 1 skein of sock yarn, and I think this will be really nice for that. So that will be going on the needles once the Tranquil Mist lace shawl is done. All right, behind the scenes, my spinning, I'm getting closer, but I am still spinning the Fiber Optic Yarns Merino Silk Blackbird gradient. I'm still spinning the singles, and then I'm going to chain ply to keep the gradient. But again, taking time, so. Let's move into in the scene shop, what's going on in the other crafting world for myself. First up, let me show you my Heaven and Earth Designs cross stitch. This is called One for Sorrow, artwork by Stephanie Law. And stitching this 2/1/2 stitch on 25 count easy count fabric. And here's where I'm at. I'm so close. Do you see that there, to finishing that page? And then right here, kind of where the crease is almost, is where the next page ends, and then the whole top of the picture will be done. So there's that. So I did a little bit of work on that. And then I also put in some work and some negative work. For the first time in cross stitching, I actually had to rip out because I was really off. And I worked on my Modern Folk Embroidery Fruits of Plenty, which is their 2021 stitch along. I'm still on January, but I'm making progress. So I worked on some of the light blue this time. The bird is sitting on a bowl of fruits, and I was completely off with that, where there was going to be a big gap between the bird and the fruit, so I couldn't fudge that. So I had to rip it out and redo it. There was no other choice. So I did it. And it's fun seeing the picture come to life. So, and this is being stitched on a, what does this say? 32 count Tyco Belfast linen from Picture This Plus. And it is a huge piece of fabric, because it's going to be a huge piece of cross stitch. So this is going back on my Q-snip. I've been telling myself to switch out projects every week. So last week I was working on One for Sorrow. The week before that was this. So this goes back on the Q-snap since I took them off to show you guys. All right, last but not least, let's just show you the progress I made on my Moonlit Fox latch hook. This is a kit from Hirschner's, and I worked on it about 2 or 3 times. So I finished out the tail, and now it's a lot more of this pewter dark midnight color. But it's coming along. You can see it's a fox's tail. It's cute. And yeah. So that's all that's been going on in my other crafting. Let's move into In the Spotlight. What have we been watching? Several shows we finished, as well as a couple of movies. We finished watching Them, which is on Amazon. This is not for the faint of heart. It deals with a lot of social, racial issues, especially in the 1950s in Compton, where a Black family moves into a completely white neighborhood in Compton, California. They also have a history dealing with racial violence in their family, and it is sometimes really hard to watch. There are some supernatural elements to it, but it all gets explained in a sense. I didn't care for the ending particularly well. I thought there was a lot of open-ended things that were just left out there, which probably was done on purpose. But so you can check that out on Amazon if you want to be entertained, educated, and engaged, I would say. We also finished Mayor of Easttown. This was on HBO Max. It stars Kate Winslet. It was a recollection of one woman's story who is a detective in Pennsylvania, Easttown, Pennsylvania, and she was an all-state basketball star when her senior year of high school, and so she's kind of just always been somebody that some people have looked up to, even though her family has a troubled past. It is very much the telling of there's darkness and there's murder and there's solving crimes, but it is very much the study of family and human interaction and human connection and relationships. So I definitely give that a thumbs up. We enjoyed every episode that we watched. I'm looking forward to some of the new things coming out on HBO Max here in the future. And then we just finished watching Loki. There was only 6 episodes like the previous, which was previous Disney show, which was The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But unlike the other shows on Disney, there is a season 2 coming for Loki. They did announce that right at the end. So they left it very open-ended. It was a little hard to get into the first couple of episodes, which I feel like most of them are, because you have to really set yourself into that world and that universe. And there's a lot of time travel and time variance in this show, so you have to kind of be able to follow where you're going and what's happening. It was really good, enjoyed it. I probably thought WandaVision was its own thing. I just don't think they can come back with something that spectacular. But I definitely thought it was a close second to WandaVision. So definitely give Loki a shot if you have Disney+. Then on Netflix, I watched a movie called Things Heard and Seen. This stars Amanda Seyfried. It is a supernatural kind of ghost story where this young couple moves into this farmhouse in the countryside of New York so he could take a job at a small college. And while in the house, supernatural things start happening, and this is led into an inquiry on Amanda Seyfried's, the wife's part, to realize some dark secrets in her husband's past that are reminiscent of things that have happened in the house in the past. So not a 10-star, but a good solid 6. And then Andy and I finished watching the trilogy Fear Street Parts 2 and 3. We had told you about the first part on Netflix several weeks ago. They had one movie come out every Friday for 3 weeks, and there was 3 parts. It's loosely based on the R.L. Stine Fear Street series of books. And the first movie takes place in 1992. The second movie takes place in 1978. And the last movie, for the half of it, takes place in 1666 and then goes back into 1992. And it follows the story basically of a witch story from present day in 1992 to its origins and then back again. And I actually thought it was really well done for being slightly cheesy and not really knowing many of the actors. There was 2 actresses from Stranger Things. I always say Stranger Strings because I knit that wrap, and I talked about it so much when it traveled with us. Stranger Things. There's one girl who's Ethan Hawke's daughter. She's in the very beginning, and then the other girl who joined in season 2 of Stranger Things. She is in the second and third movies. So I definitely say check those out. Andy even enjoyed them. So hopefully they'll do some more things like that. All right, let's go into stash enhancement. I have been read the riot act about how much money I've been spending on the internet as well as going to in-person events. It still hasn't stopped me, but that's okay. So first up, let me show you. I picked up, while shopping on my phone one night, I purchased 3 skeins of Nomadic Yarns self-striping. Now these are just in skein form, not her gobstopper form, because I think you have to pay more for that. The first one that jumped into my cart, these are all on her trusty sock, which is a 75/25 superwash merino nylon. This is Sharknado. And then this one called my name, Over the Sea to Sky. I don't know if that's like an Outlander reference or something. I don't know anything about Outlander, unfortunately. And then this one, my sister told me it is a My Favorite Murder reference. Triflers need not apply. I thought this was a good fall Andy color with the blues and a lot of oranges. He loves orange, so yeah. These found a new home and will be going in the self-striping bins where I don't know, but you know, whatever. Next up, I bought a skein of Knit and Bro yarns. I was enabled. I find all these new people on the Needles at the Ready podcast. I enjoy watching Kevin and Ray, and I usually just go through all their links of yarn dyers that I have not had before, and I try to find something that calls my name. This is Knit and Bros singles. It's 100% superwash merino, 400 yards in the Dirty on Purpose colorway. And I set up a project for this. I actually went shopping with projects in mind. And then I also made a purchase from Dyed by Dells. They're based out of Canada. Maxim Sear, Max the Knitter, is his partner, and I don't know the other guy's name. The guy who does the dyeing. I haven't watched their podcast. Dells. Anyway, I picked up to make a shawl 2 skeins of his yak sock in the Lyra's hat colorway, and then 1 skein of his mohair silk in the YOLO, Only Live Once pan colorway. So I'm assuming this is not quite right, like a YOLO one of a kind. But I think I'm going to knit this, and I'm going to hold the mohair double to do what I want to do with this shawl that I picked out. But you'll find out more about that when I get to knitting it. And then last but not least, my Hello Yarn monthly fiber club showed up. This is on Organic Polworth, and it is in the colorway Skep. So there's that. That's all that's shown up in the last 2 weeks, other than the 10 skeins of yarn, 12 skeins of yarn sitting at the studio, and 2 more waiting to come in. Plus, I think I have 1 more order out. Do I though? I can't remember. Yep, I have 1 more order out too. So, oh well. Treat yourself. That's what I've been doing lately. All right, let's move into this episode's giveaway. We are going to be giving away 2 skeins of Shellridge Farm Soft Touch Heather in the Gunmetal blue colorway, I think. Gunmetal blue. These were generously donated to the podcast. This one's loosely skeined. But this is 175 yards or 60 grams of fingering weight. And it is an 85% wool, 15% nylon. So you could do some nice manly socks out of this, or a shawl. It's pretty soft. It's not merino soft. I can't tell you what type of wool it is. It doesn't say. But they're based out of Canada. I can tell you that much. So, if you would like to enter to win these 2 skeins, you need to go on over to the Dramatic Knits video podcast group on Ravelry and find the appropriate thread. It will say Shellridge Farm Soft Touch Heather giveaway, and you must enter the prompt for the giveaway, which this episode is, what secret conspiracy would you like to start? Could be something small, like, I don't know, like, did you know that people that drive between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. drive on the wrong side of the road? It's really true. Or it could be something big, like, you know, aliens have taken over and we're all just pets in their cage. I don't know. This is why I leave the creative stuff to you guys. I did the yarn, you give me funny answers. So, so what secret conspiracy would you like to start? You must be a member of the Dramatic Knits video podcast group, and you must answer the prompt in the appropriate thread. If you answered on YouTube, we will all see it, but you will not be eligible to win because I do not pull from YouTube. All right. A round of applause. Last episode, we were giving away 2 skeins of Knit Pick Stroll Fingering in the Rainforest Heather colorway. The prompt was, is cereal soup? Why or why not? There were some funny answers, and I don't think one person said cereal was a soup. However, I saw a lot of reasoning like soup has to be cooked, or soup should be warm, or soup can't have grains in them, or this or that. And I'm like, isn't rice a grain? I thought so. I could be wrong. I meant to look into this. And then I was like, soup doesn't have to be warm. Gazpacho's cold. I've had like cold carrot soup on vacation, like in Mexico. And I was like, there are people who are like, well, da-da-da-da-da, if you take, you know, this and that, liquids. And so I thought it was really interesting to read everybody's opinion on it. However, I did pull from a random number generator, and it chose number 21, who is Love Africa. That is Barb from Michigan. And Barb said cereal is not a soup. To me, soup requires cooking and does not include crunchy grains. However, as I'm writing this, I wonder if really watery oatmeal could be considered soup. So I've never had really watery oatmeal before. like seriously watery oatmeal. And when I went to one of the outdoor restaurants when we went to Cancun last time, I got oatmeal at the little outdoor cafe place, and it literally was like regular oatmeal, and they poured warm milk all around it, and it was delicious, but it was very much like a soup. So, just saying. Anyway, Barb, please email me on Ravelry Dramatic Knits. Let me know your first and last name, mailing address, and email address so I can send you tracking for this, and I will get this out to you as soon as possible. Alrighty, we're almost done. It'll be a quicker episode today. Center stage, what's going on in the world of Leading Men Fiber Arts? To you, those of you who are new, my partner Andy and myself, we are the owners and dyers behind Leading Men Fiber Arts, which you can find us at leadingmenfiberarts.com, as well as our Facebook and Instagram pages. And we've been dyeing yarn for now almost 8 years, and 2.5 years ago, we bought a studio and moved the business out of our home. And here at the beginning of the year, we opened our studio doors into a storefront and have become a yarn store as well as a dye studio. So we've been having a lot of fun exploring and growing our brand and our business, and we have even more plans in the future. We were talking about some major goals and decisions this week, so that's been exciting. And yeah, so if you are local to the central Illinois area, we are located in Clinton, Illinois, which is right in between Bloomington and Decatur. It's also in between Springfield and Champaign. So both highways that travel between Springfield and Champaign, and the one that travels between Bloomington and Decatur, both go through our town and intersect. We are located on the town square, and yeah, so we do craft nights every Wednesday evenings from 5 to 8 p.m. Anyone and everyone is invited. Bring whatever you are working on with whatever materials. I am not a yarn store that requires you to work with our product while you are knitting or crafting at our store. The only exception to that would be classes or workshops that may be happening. We also have our occasional crafternoons on Saturday afternoons when we are home and not on the road. We had one yesterday and it was very well attended. We had 3 wonderful ladies that were new to our shop that came from north of Springfield, and I hope they had a good time. I did not get to really chat with them as much as I wanted to, as I was rinsing yarn and helping other customers, but we will be having another crafternoon this Saturday. We are home on the 24th, and that will be from 1 to 4 p.m. And we do have a Facebook event if you want to check that out. It just says the date and time, but you can click that you're going if you want to check that out on our Facebook page. Okay, new items. So I brought some 5 things from the studio to show you this episode, and I'm gonna bring them out now. So first up is this really cool Attenti project bag. This is the Tinto Hope basket, and this is a really cool faux leather with a suede applique on it. And it's not my style, I wouldn't carry it, but I think it's super cool, and I was really pleased with this when it came into the store. It's also got those suede handles as well as pockets on the inside. Now I do have this stuffed with paper for sitting on a shelf, so I can't really show you the inside, but you can definitely check that out online. Next up, I wanted to show you, oh, my sticker's coming off. This is one, but we have a lot of different colors and styles. These are the Della Q trifold circular needle cases, and these have a button with elastic around it. This is not necessarily for DPNs or for interchangeable needles, though you could potentially do that. This is more for your circulars, and so it opens up and you have different numbers printed on there. There's some booklet in here about the company, Della Q, and then there's 2 zipper pouches as well. I actually have several Della Q cases from back when I was a newbie knitter, and so this is a little bit of an update on that, and they just fold over and voila. So this is part of their linen collection. All the ones that we carry right now are part of their linen collection. Next up, we got a new craft kit in. It looks small, but it is really cute. So these are DIY stretch beaded bracelets that look like that. And you get enough to make 5 bracelets, and it comes with beads, several different beads, instructions, as well as the stretchy cording, or whatever you want to call it. Corded bracelets. So we have a couple, I think 4 different styles of these that I picked up to add to our crafting section of the shop. Next up is Coco Knits Maker Keeps. So we just sold one of these yesterday. I was like, I don't think I've ever shown these on the show before. I've seen them previously on podcasts. They've been around for a while. The back says, the silicone slap bracelet fits any size wrist and sports a brushed steel-plated magnet. Accessories attached to the magnet to keep what you need where you need it most. The dimensions are, the bracelet is 10 inches by 3/4 inches wide, and the magnet is 1.5 by 1.5 inches in diameter or circumference. Well, it's not a circle, so. So what's really neat about these, so we only have them in slate gray and tangerine right now. Every time I order, I bring in a new color, because I have to order 5 at a time. So it's an old school slap bracelet. But what's really cool on here, you do have I don't know if you can see it there, inches and metric on the inside of the slap bracelet. And then you have a big square of magnet. You put it on, and then you can attach different things. Let me try to grab what's metal. So like those are my embroidery cross stitch scissors, but those carry to that. You can, if you buy the Coco Knits materials, you can, my cross stitch thing, this is not metal, but it sticks to it. You can put your darning needles, you can put stitch markers on it, little scissors, metal, anything that's metal will stick to it. And so you don't have to go searching for it. You can just have it on your wrist. I really need one of these when I'm cross stitching because I'm always trying to find these things and other things. But so anyway, this is the Maker's Keep from Coco Knits. Like I said, right now we have them in tangerine and slate gray, but we will be adding more as we order from Coco Knits. So there's that. And last but not least, we got a new order from Jewel. Jewel Designs. These are no-sew overlap screw-in snap closures. So this is one pair. You get 2 closures. And this one's in the plum color, but we also have pewter, black, and espresso. 4 different colors. We have several of each of these, and they're all the nickel plated. So they're screw closures. So what you do is you unscrew it, you put the backing of the screw through your knitwear, and then you screw on the closure, and then you can actually use the snap. So these are ideal for the no button band open front cardigans, but you can also definitely use them on shawls, especially if you want a shawl styled a certain way. You can put these in and just leave them in, and you could just throw the shawl on and not have to worry about readjusting it every single time. So I love these. I think they're definitely a modern, fresh, unisex way of, I have Jewel closures on one of my Brooklyn tweed sweaters that I knit. So these definitely could help, even if it's like a V-neck sweater or like an open front where you put buttons. I use these. I think they're really cool. So yeah. And you can check those out in the shop. I will also have all those items directly linked in our show notes, which you can find at dramaticknits.com. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today. And I'm not done, so I'm going to keep going. Don't forget, we have several knit-alongs going on in the Leading Men Fiber Arts Ravelry group. Ending in July, we have the Pick-a-Pop Cowl Knit-Along. Ending in August, we have the Enneagram number 2 Socks Knit-Along going on. And then ending in September, we have the Herringball Wrap Crochet Along going on. You can find coupon codes for yarn in all of those appropriate threads on the Leading Men Fiber Arts group on Ravelry. Stay tuned, because at the beginning of August, I'm like, what month is it? We will have a new knit along going on. Those of you who have received your Cast of Characters mini skein club, you got a little postcard with the new pattern, and that will be our new knit along starting in August. So, last but not least, upcoming events. Not next weekend, but the following weekend, we will be doing a trunk show at the Shabby Sheep and You in Columbus, Indiana. That's I believe, southern suburb of Indianapolis. We have not been out there before, but we will be setting up Friday during right after lunch. So the trunk show will be Friday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. as well as Saturday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you are in the Indy area or around Columbus, Indiana, and you want to make the drive out to check out their shop as well as our trunk show, we would love to see you and say hi and chat, and we hope that we get the opportunity to do so. So that is now it, and I thank you so much for joining me for this episode. If you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe on YouTube. Leave a comment on the episode. Go and join our knit-alongs, as well as our contests on Ravelry. And, of course, follow us on Instagram for beautiful yarn, funny stories, and the occasional dog photo. So until I see you in a couple of weeks when I finish my next project, I hope you make something dramatic.